Guys, gals, and pals, welcome to Paint and Talk, Episode 1, the show where I attempt to paint and talk at the same time. Pretty self-explanatory. However, with this first episode of Paint and Talk, I want to take some time to explain why I'm doing this. Is that necessary? No. Not at all. I think I could totally just start in doing what I want to do with it. However, I do think it's something worth doing because, I plan on doing this for the next year, at least, it could go longer, it could not, but I definitely intend to do this the entirety of this next year. So I think this is something worthwhile to do. I don't love the fact that I'm doing it the more I think about it, but it's one of those things where the more I thought about the series, the more I was like, there's so many reasons why I really want to do this, and I don't think that's a bad way to start the series, I tend to not like episodes, is episodes the right term, of things where it's where it's a lot of exposition, I guess, of that's essentially what this is. It's exposition as to why I'm here. I tend to not like that because it feels kind of fillery. Maybe that's just a me thing. I think it feels kind of fillery though. It feels very like a cheat to not making something as real as not an explanation. But I intend to do this for a long time, so I think it's worth having an explanation somewhere that I can point to be like, no, I made my intentions clear. I'm just a little kind of a cornball. I'm into symbolic stuff, to be honest, and I think it's kind of a nice symbolic thing to do with start it by stating your intentions. I think that's nice. I just think that's nice. So obviously the idea of this series is I'm going to be painting and I'm going to be talking every day, right? That's the short and sweet of it. If you're just wondering what's going on, that's it. And if you don't want to hear why I'm doing that, I will see you tomorrow. But I want to do this for so many reasons. I think the best place to start is when I started doing this for the first time, because this is the second time actually doing this series. I was brainstorming to start up my channel at the end of 2023. I've had multiple YouTube channels over the course of my life, which sounds weird to say. It sounds way more self-important than it should. But over the course of my life, I've had many YouTube channels, and I was like, I want to start another one because I feel like I'm just I don't know. I feel like after you start a couple, it's you just kind of want to keep going. And you abandon channels, you start new ones. And I was saying to my friend, for the last couple of years, I've been had this idea in mind that this next channel I start will be the one, the rest were kind of practice. I wasn't taking them that seriously. This next one, I'm going to give it my all, use everything I've learned, and try and learn more. That's the channel that you've possibly been watching, or if you're new here, welcome. I have another channel where that takes place. And as I was discussing it, I was like, okay, video essays are kind of going to be what I'm doing, which I don't love the fact that video essays are what I'm doing, for the reason that it's kind of alienating. Video essays can be alienating because at the end of the day, people aren't watching the video essays for you as much as they're watching them for the topic. And that's fine. I don't need people to be watching everything in the world because they're oh, I want to see what he has to say, but it's kind of, unsustainable in a way because if I were to start making video essays on something slightly different, right, because I have a different interest, or even just have a streak of a couple video essays that people aren't really interested in that I thought they would be, I just guess wrong, that could kill me. That could just tank the whole thing, and that's not sustainable, I also am just not someone who's interested in doing, obviously there are a bunch of YouTube tricks you can do to, make sure you get consistent viewership. I've never been interested in doing that. I think it's I just don't like it. I just don't like that. So I was I don't love the fact that I'm a video essayist. I also just feel so many video essayists end up very faceless, and not in the literal sense. But I'm sure everyone's familiar with that one channel, Sunny V2, where I don't think he's even done a face reveal. It's just a guy. I don't even know if it's a guy. It might be a full AI channel. Or what's the term? The content farm, I think is what people call it. And people make fun of that a lot because they're yeah, what's this guy doing? He has a channel where he just does the same thing over and over again. Nobody, he's just a drawing of some weird guy. People make fun of that, But if you think about it, like, I'm not that different from that. Like, besides the fact that, like, you kind of know what I look like and maybe you know a thing or two that I like, there's not too much of a difference there, you know? If Sunny V2 were to make one of my videos, no one would know. Like, no one would be like, no, this is a Max Dice thing, you know? It's completely interchangeable, and I feel like it loses a lot of its identity in that way. And so that's why what I was discussing with my friend. I was like, I don't love the fact that that like is the genre I'm gonna go with, but it is the genre I have to go with, you know, because it's like, it's so natural to me. I like doing it, I like making them, but I don't like the space of them. There's also a lot of connotations with video essays I just don't love. You know, I think video essays have become so fact-based to kind of an annoying extent, and this is something that I like try to subtly go against. You know, like, obviously I can't like explicitly go like I'm anti-facts, but like sometimes they just, I think, oh my god, there's another term for this, but like sometimes people's video essays just turn into them reading off a bunch of papers and video essays, and it's like, or not papers and video essays, papers and Wikipedia articles, and that to me is very, again, it's like this is YouTube, you know. I feel like sometimes it's cool to make a video essay, which is what all my video essays are, of like, I think this thing, let's just talk about that in this slightly more professional format than if I were just to do it like I'm doing right now, right? So, for those reasons, I didn't love the connotation of being a video essayist, even though, like, of course that's the space I'm going to. I love reading, I love writing, like, my skills surely line up towards doing video essay content, right? I'm aware of that. I'm not gonna, like, try and put a round peg in another hole. I forget what the other hole is in that idiom, but you get what I mean. Like, I'm not a vlogger. I'm not funny enough for that. I'm not even energetic enough for that. I don't play video games. I don't even have the social battery to stream. So, like, of course, video essays are gonna be the zone. So I was talking to this friend, and this is turning into a very long-winded story, I'm sorry, but I'm talking to this friend, and I'm like, what do you think I could do? You know, this is the niche I'm going into. It's gonna be art, books, culture, that kind of thing. What do you think I could do to make this so, like, there is some sort of connection past the topic of the video? You know, like, I wanted to kind of be like, just not feel as alienated from the audience as most video essay channels turn into. I was like, what do you think I could do to do that, right? He gave me the idea of Paint&Talk. He said, like, what if you do a video every now and again where you paint and you talk to the camera? Which is crazy what I'm here doing right now, over a year later. And at first, I did the thing I usually do, where I amped up the idea, like, a little bit too much. Like, I was like, oh my god, what I'll do is I'll go paint things in the city, and, like, talk to the camera while I just paint, whatever is. So the first video I was gonna do was the Empire State Building, and I went with my another friend of mine, and we chickened out the second we got there because it was really scary to set up all that equipment in the middle of those busy streets, and I was like, yeah, no, I don't have the social, what's the word? I have too much social anxiety to do that. I'm not bold enough for that, so I didn't do that. And then I did it in my room. I was like, there's no difference if I painted in my room or not. And then I did another one, and I think I did a third, yes, I did a third one after that, where I told stories. They were a little bit more focused than what's going on here, right? And I really enjoyed making those videos. And the response to them was also really cool. Like, it was, you know, back to what I was saying of, like, people watch video essays for the topic, most of the time, not for the video essays, with the extent, I'm sure, you know, so many creators make such great essays, and I'm sure there are people who do watch video essays for the creator. I'm sure it happens, but a lot of video essays, I would go as far as saying, I would guess the majority of video essays are for the topic. Those videos kind of proved that, like, people do enjoy a little thing in the other direction, you know? People enjoy when you aren't doing a video essay and it's you, and, like, the feedback mirrored that, right? So people were saying, like, they really enjoyed it. It seemed like a very a more authentic response, you know, of like, I love the idea of this. People were even saying, which is, I'm gonna circle back to this later, it was my favorite thing. They were saying that they were painting along with me while they were watching. Things like this are just super cool. I loved it. I genuinely loved it so much. I ended up taking them down though. Of course, that, you know, that's why we're here, not over there on my other channel. I ended up taking them down because I want to say it was July of that year. I went onto a call with another creator, an awesome creator who is a lot bigger, and I asked him like if we could hop on a Zoom and just like I could get some advice from him because, you know, he's so much bigger, he's been doing this for longer, just more experience. Like I was like, can I pick your brain on some things? And he gave me the advice of like, stop doing those, take them down. And he said basically something that I do believe to be true, that like it's kind of confusing your channel, you know, like when this channel is getting recommended to someone, YouTube doesn't know if this is a video essay channel or if this is a Paint and Talk channel. And I will say, just to preface, because I think like someone might know more about the specifics of an algorithm and how it works, you know, and that could be kind of a misnomer. There's a lot of, and this totally happens all the time within YouTuber circles and with YouTubers especially, there's a lot of like mystification around algorithms. People kind of, you know, maybe they'll fail. This happened to me for a while where like I was making videos that just weren't that great, so they wouldn't get a ton of views, and I would go, there must be like another element of this in the algorithm that's causing that to happen, right? And to an extent, I'm sure that's true. You know, it's not like I've ever made Mr. Beast videos. It's not like they're going to be favored by the algorithm super deeply. However, the truth is that sometimes it's just an excuse for a bad video, right? And this happens with so many YouTubers. So there could be an element of that in that advice of like, maybe it is kind of irrelevant advice, but I'm never going to be one to deny advice from someone that's so much smarter than me and just so much better than me at YouTube, right? I'm never going to be dumb enough to do that. So I took the advice, I took him down, but and I want to say the commenter's name was Sora. The guy's name was Sora. If you're watching this, your comment kind of inspired this, because he commented on another random, or I don't know, you know, what the gender of the person is. They just had a JoJo's profile picture, so I was assuming it was a guy. But they commented like, what happened to the Paint and Talks? I loved those. And like, it made me be like, man, like I loved them too. Like, it's fun. Like, this is a fun thing to do. To, you know, just turn on the camera and babble on while I paint and let it be whatever it's going to be in this sort of like unstructured format. I really enjoyed it. And I was like, man, like, what if there was a way to do that again? So as things kind of tend to happen, I kept thinking about it for a long time. Past that, I kept like, kind of, you know, when something kind of lingers in your mind a little bit and you keep, like, you can't get it out of your head. That's kind of what happened with this. And I was like, man, like maybe there's a way to do this. Maybe there's a way that I can make this work. And for a while I was like, what if I just bring them back on like a Patreon? That way, you know, people could check them out on the Patreon. And I was like, nah. And I was like, what if I just, you know, do like a live stream? I was just like, nah, for that. And then one day I was out, I want to say I was on a run. I'll be honest, I could have been walking too though, you know, it was one of those where I don't really remember the speed that I was going, but I know I was outside, using my legs in some way. And that's when the idea came to me of like, what if I did it daily? And the idea, and this is kind of funny because I feel like a lot of people wouldn't expect this, but the idea was actually inspired by another podcast by Madeline RG. She runs a great show on her channel. She's huge. She's like a real like creator who gets invited to like Fashion Week. And she runs this show called Pretty Lonesome, right? And on this show, she literally just, for a while was in her car. I think she moved in somewhere else now. But she literally just goes and like talks about like stuff that was going on in her week, or like, you know, like a story from when she was younger. And my favorite episode of it was where she was talking about this book and I need to get the name of the book. I actually really want to read it. It was a book on women's intuition. And the way she was just kind of like having a little book club with the audience was the coolest thing ever to me. I thought it was so awesome. I like ate it up. I thought it was so cool. And it was what made me realize, like, wait, like YouTube has become so produced in the last couple years. This is like no secret. People complain about this pretty often, I think, actually, that YouTube, like, there's very few people that are like making videos where they're just turning on the camera and talking to them. And if they are, it's going to be a smaller creator, kind of like me. Like, I doubt this series will ever blow up to these giant heights because this is me talking to a camera. So, like, it made me realize, like, man, like, there is a good way to do this. Like, there is still, as much as, like, yes, we've gotten so produced, like, the term beastification of YouTube, like, where people are like, everything is becoming bigger because of him. I don't think that's 100% true. I think there's so much more to it, but, like, things are just becoming way bigger. And I think it made me forget that, like, you can totally just do it. There's totally still an audience for it. And it's what I've always wanted to do, you know? Like, it's definitely always been the part of this that I've enjoyed the most. And this is a struggle that I came to, I want to say, this would have been, like, Q4 of 2024. I started being like, man, like, why do I enjoy this, right? It was one of those where it was like, I was forgetting why exactly I enjoyed it, because I don't love the scripting part of it. I like writing, but when you're writing a script, it's very different than just writing, you know? So I was like, I don't love that. I also don't tend to love the editing part of it. I sometimes enjoy, you know, learning new tricks and stuff, but especially when it's on a schedule, it's pretty awful. So I was like, why do I enjoy this again? Like, what about it is the compelling part? And I was like, it's the recording. It's always been the recording. But I wasn't enjoying the recording because of the amount of scripting. When you're recording off of a script, it takes a million takes, and it's nothing like this. You are probably going to watch this with 0 cuts, unless there's a reason I have to cut. Like, if I drop something, I have to pick it up, I'd probably cut that. But, you know, you're probably gonna watch this with no cuts, bar something like that. When I'm editing a video for the main channel, for a video essay, there are a million cuts in that, because it's like, you got to get the script perfect, but I don't like there being a million cuts. You know, some people do this very disjointed style, which is fine. I don't hate watching it, but it bothers me in my own content. Some people do this disjointed style where it's like, and I went to store the other day, and like they cut it so there's no ums, so they make sure their script is right, which is fine. You know, I get why that happens, and I honestly leaned on it on my own in some places just because it gets to be too much. But I try to nail the script more so, because I don't like hearing my voice like that, and then I have to edit it and all that, you know. So I was really losing a love for the recording process, which is kind of the reason why this is fun, you know. It's always been the recording. So that's what made me be like, man, like, you know, I've come to this realization that I could totally just talk to a camera and put it out there. I need a way to do that, and I don't like the recording anymore because I'm not doing that. And then I was like, and there's also this other series that I really like, and that I really like, that series being Paint&Talk, that I'm like, I'm not doing anymore, even though I was super passionate about it, and I didn't even put in effort to find a way to make it work, you know? I didn't even sit back and go, okay, you know, this guy's probably got good advice as to why this isn't a good idea to post right here, but I didn't even ask myself the question of, like, can I post it somewhere else? I like doing this, you know? And that was a big mistake on my part. I should have not fought for it, but thought for it. That rhymed. But all that kind of culminated when I was somehow vertically mobile here. Again, I don't remember the speed I was at, but I was either walking or running in some capacity, maybe in between. I'm not a very fast runner anyways, so it's probably more like a jog. And that's when I was like, wait, what if I bring back this Paint&Talk series daily? And originally I was going to do a book club part of it, but I realized that was kind of a dumb idea. Originally I was going to like so I was like, what if I read the history of philosophy and did that daily? Like, I would read I'd like put a book and I'd be like, guys, buy this book and we'll read 20 pages of Plato a day and discuss it together. And then I was like, wait, most people aren't absolutely insufferable nerds, so they won't watch that. But I also realized, like, that's so unrealistic. Like, you know, that's just not, I'm not smart enough to do that. Like, I can't tell you, I don't know, I barely understand, like, green eggs and ham. Yeah, green eggs and ham. I can't do Play-Doh. I don't know green eggs and ham. Look at me, I'm just a dumb little guy. I don't even know green eggs and ham, But, the point is, I was like, okay, this is my outlet to do something like this. This is my outlet where I could talk, and I was like, what if I did it daily? And the daily part of it, at first I was like, that's crazy. And the more I thought about it, I was like, that's crazy, that's a really good idea. Because there's also an element of this that's like, I just think doing it daily just allows for so much more, There are so many, this is a genre of YouTube I've never been into before this year, but nowadays there are so many creators I watch that are, like, not really traditional creators. Like, they just kind of, or maybe they're the most traditional type of creator. I don't know how I'd phrase this. But they just kind of turn on their camera and talk every single day. And I just love those videos because it's like they'll be talking, they'll be like, okay, so you guys know about this that happened? And I'm like, yeah, no, of course I know about that happened. Like I'm keyed in, like, of course I know about that. And, like, it's so funny how much I like that, and I never thought I would. But I was like, daily is kind of the coolest thing ever. And there are, like, blah, 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 like, algorithmic benefits. There's like a ton of, like, actual, good, like, more substantive reasons to do something daily. But just thinking about it in terms of, like, as something for people to watch, I think doing it daily is really cool, right? So that was like the seed of the series. And originally I was just going to start just start episode 1, talk about whatever. And that's what this is going to be, by the way. It's going to be me talking about either a topic that I just like am thinking about or something that happened in my day. I don't have very interesting days, so expect a lot more topics than anything else. And that's all this is going to be. It's literally front and back. This is going to be me babbling about whatever I want to babble about. Maybe what I'm reading. That'll probably be my default because I like reading a lot, so I'll probably go with that. But, just my interests, basically. And I was going to start with that originally, but, like, and this is something that has always kind of held me back in every area of my life, to be honest, that I think might actually be good here, is that, like, once I start thinking of reasons for something, I can't stop thinking about reasons for a thing. Like, once I have it in my mind, like, okay, Paint and Talk daily is a good idea, and I'm like, this series is cool and a good idea, I can't get out of my head that I should, like, why it's a good idea, and I keep thinking more and more, kind of like no confirmation bias where you keep seeing the same thing over and over again, and, like, you just believe it because you keep, like, you're in, like, an echo chamber, know that idea. I have that just, like, with my own head. Like, I'll just, like, keep going, until I'm, like, actually delusional about something. And now we're here. So those are all the reasons that I've come up with that I want to talk about here, because I have so many annoyingly more of them that I'll probably, because I've thought of too many, I didn't write them down, I'm not going to even touch on all of them now, like, why am I doing this, But there's one other big one that I should definitely talk about, 100%. So I've always wanted to paint. Ever since I was a kid, I've wanted to be a painter. But I also, like, understood that being a painter is not really, like too much of a thing. Like, of course it is a thing. Like, people make great money off being painters, and they do careers where they paint. I know people paint for, like, freelance or, like, album covers, magazines, mural artists. Like, there are avenues to be a painter. But in the terms of, like, the painters that I looked up to as a kid, like Raphael, Warhol, Picasso, these guys were like my heroes as a kid. I was so enamored by them, and I would watch all these, like, YouTube videos on them, and, like, being a painter in that sense isn't, I don't want to say it's not real, it's just not realistic. Like, it's not something I could just choose as a career path, especially with, like, the access to things I had. Oftentimes people that end up there have a ton of access to, like, the resources to do it, or XYZ time, formal training, which is awesome and great for them. I just don't have that. I'm not trying to say this in, like, a way of, like, oh, this is a terrible place where you gotta be rich. I don't mean that in that way, just more so, like, I'm just not that guy, I just don't have that. So I always kind of, like, had that defeatist attitude. It was one of the few things in my life that I was like, I just can't be a painter, I just can't do that. But the more I thought about it, I was like, is this one of those things where I'm saying I can't do it, but I totally can, and, like, I'm just kind of saying I can't? Like, no one, like, you have those things, like, I want you to think about something right now that you really want to do, that you always tell yourself, like, someday I'll do that, right? Is there something stopping you from doing it right now? Not like all the way, but just a little bit. Can you do a little bit of it right now? Like, let's say you're like, I want to be a sculptor one day. I want to sculpt marble. Marble. You're like, I want to sculpt marble. Is there anything that's stopping you from like buying like a tiny little block and like chiseling at it at your desk? I don't know anything about marble, and that might very well not be possible, but like, is there anything to like get you just like to play with it a little bit, you know? And I was like, I guess like, you know, there is nothing stopping. Yes, will I become a Renaissance painter from doing this in my room? No, never. I mean, like, I guess it's not physically impossible, but it's not gonna happen. You know what I mean? Is there something stopping me from getting better at painting while I'm here? No, not at all. I can totally paint every day. So then the idea changed in my head over the years to like someday when I, you know, am really able to and have an extra 2 hours a day, I'll paint every day. I'll make sure I'll make it a part of my life, you know? And then as I thought about doing this Paint and Talk daily, I was like, I can make the time for it if I make it part of my content plan, because this is something I've always been doing. I always have time in the day for YouTube. If I make YouTube into painting, it's a double whammy, you know? So through that very convoluted process, I've ended up here, where part of this series is me wanting to teach myself to paint. Something that will very likely not happen. Like, listen, I would love, like, maybe someday at the end of this year, December 31st, 2025, put this up against my newest painting. Is it better? Maybe it is. I think it will be. I hope it is. I hope I've learned a little bit more technique maybe, or just like how to do it better, do the thing better, you know? It very well could be, but like, these conditions aren't conducive to painting. It's really hot in here. I have a mic here, and it's sagging down my shirt because the magnetic attachment didn't come. That will make it not sag down my shirt quite as much. There's two lights right there that make it really hot. There's a camera here, there's a camera there. If I move too much or get paint on the thing, it'll be, you know, it's impossible to clean out. Like, these are not conducive conditions to like really learning how to paint. But I want to do it. I want to do it like this. I don't know why. I just think it'll be fun. I think it makes it so I can do it anyways. And having 365 canvases makes it so much more of a project than if I were to do it without the journey along with it. So this is gonna happen, you know? And that is to say that a lot of these paintings will be very bad. I think I want to treat this kind of like the gym. Like, no one like you're going to the gym and everyone gives you the advice, like the most important thing is showing up every day. Like, even if you show up and like, you know, walk on the treadmill for 5 minutes and go home, that's better than nothing. Like, everyone says that on like online, I guess. I don't even know if they say that in real life, but online they say that, right? And like, I want to treat it kind of like that. Even if I show up one day and just paint this whole canvas black, better than not doing anything, because I did it. And that's like kind of the way I want to do this too, of like, that's another reason why I think it's a good idea to do this on camera, because you guys will know if I didn't paint a black canvas. Maybe I'll paint it white one day. Like, that's cool. I'll do that. The point is though, I want to make this whole thing kind of like I'm not going to make this, but like, maybe you could make a 365 hour long movie out of this whole series, right? I want that to be kind of like the ethos around this. I think that'd be really cool. There's also this idea from a book. I don't know the name of the book. I haven't read the book, and I don't really like the book from what I've heard about the book. But I heard about it in a YouTube video where they said, like, in this new era, art is about like documenting, don't create. So like, people much more appreciate at this point the journey of you becoming something, of you learning to do something, than they appreciate just seeing a physical product. I don't know if that's true, but it was like, wait, what if I documented and created? Like, why can't I do both, you know? So that's what's happening here today, and that's what this series is going to be. The one last thing I want to say, so over the course of this year, I want to get better at this. I want to get better at painting. The coolest thing in the world to me would be if you guys also painted. I know, like, a lot of people, painting supplies are expensive. I could barely afford this with all the money I've made off YouTube. And I already had some of that, right? Like, painting supplies are expensive. However, I think it'd be really cool if like people in the audience are painters and they're like, I made that extra hour a day to paint or to knit or to learn something because I realized I was watching this video. You know, like if you're sitting there like just kind of doing nothing while watching this, draw, paint, sing, maybe. But like the point is like this could be like the coolest thing would be to me if like someone walked up to me one day and was like, I am now a professional painter because I kept watching and I was like learning to paint along with you. And I'd be like a little, you know, like when you're like a little bit jealous, you're like, damn, like you're better at me than painting. Like that was like the whole thing with the series. Like you're way better now. I'd be a little jealous for sure, but I'd also be like, that's also so cool. Like yes, like that's awesome. So that's the real goal, is to like paint and talk. Yeah, no, for sure. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I don't know, so this is another thing that I have to disclose, and also I want to talk about a little bit. So, probably the last thing on our itinerary here today. I'm sorry, I've probably gone on a little longer than I wanted to. I don't know if I'm going to be discussing the painting I'm making every single day, right? Because these paintings are going to be definitely at the start, and probably for a long time, just because this is always the way it's been, very, like, metaphor and symbol oriented. Like I'm probably not going to be ever just painting a statue and like be like, wow, that's a beautiful painting. I've always just relied on painting something with a meaning behind it to me, right? And obviously you're watching this with a bunch of filters. You're watching this with like probably too many, a little annoyed at it maybe. You're seeing the canvas from an angle. I'm going to upload these onto Instagram every single day. I plan on dropping this at like 9 a.m. EST every day. So expect by 10, these paintings will be on my Instagram, right? So in the Instagram description, I'll be explaining the painting and the symbols and the metaphors behind it, like what I was thinking while I was making it, right? Or it'll just be a black square and like I'll make up something for that. But I want to explain it in the Instagram bios because I think like me sitting here and like kind of like annoyingly explaining to you like, oh, I'm having this to symbolize that. I think that's annoying. I think that's is patronizing the word. I don't really know what patronizing means, but it sounds right there. So I feel it's very patronizing to you, if that's the right word. So I don't want to do that every day, explain these on the video. Sometimes I might. Today I'm going to, because I want to. I think it's nice. Like I kind of like this. It's upside down right now, and it will remain upside down, but I kind of like it, right? But if you want to see these every single day, go check them out on the Instagram. If you're impatient and annoyed at the amount I'm talking and just want to see it finished, you can just click off and go look at the Instagram. But definitely check them out on Instagram. You can see them without the filters, without the angles, without the annoying cuts, all of that. So totally recommend that. I'll be saying that every day in every single episode. So I'm sorry. I need Instagram clout. There's no other way around this, guys. No, but the point is, definitely go check that out. There'll be these paintings on there. That's like the last housekeeping related thing. I thought of one more thing while I was saying that too, that like another reason I wanted to do it like this, like you're watching this right now in kind of like a pretentious way, like it has like the 4:3 aspect ratio. It has like the film filters and like the noise and all that, and I like that. I've always thought that was so cool. I've always wanted to do that. I didn't do it when I originally did Paint and Talk back in it was March of 2024 at this point. I didn't do it back then. I always wanted to, but I just didn't have, I guess, like the guts to do it, right? I was like, it's kind of annoying. And I think this will turn a lot of people off. I gotta be honest, I think it will. However, I just like it. I just think it's cool, and that's why like it is like this. And like, I'm just a big believer in doing things as authentically as possible. And this is the way I want it to be. So that's like another reason why I'm so excited to do this, because like, this is finally so on my terms of like, this is always the way I've wanted it to be with nothing else there. Because why not? Why would I make things for people to actually watch and enjoy? Anyways, let's explain this painting and I'll let you get going on your way. So, I wanted to paint this to kind of represent what I feel like a new beginning starts like. Originally, when I first came up with this, I was going to do I was just gonna have like kind of the sun right here and have it casting a long orange shadow, right? as I painted it, though, I kind of realized, like, there's more to it than that, right? Like, this isn't just, it's not just a horizon, it's more of like a journey. Of course, it's a journey. So I have the sun, and I have the red kind of coming up around it to represent, like, passion. Like, I want this to feel like this is kind of like where I'm at right now. But I've done, over my years of being me, so many annoying artistic little journeys and dumb things like that over the course of my life that, like, I know what's gonna happen as this goes on. There's gonna be a stark turning point right here. See this, like, muddled purple area? I wanted that to represent that, where it goes from this burning, like, super passionate, you're super excited about your idea or project, and it transitions into kind of this blue period, kind of this dip where it's like, things aren't really moving, you're not learning quite as much as you want to, your output's not quite where you want it to be, and you're just kind of bummed out about the whole thing. And then I think that blue, slowly but surely, and I wish I had the skill to make this gradient a little better, but I don't, turns into this beautiful green, and if you stick through from the passion to that random flip into that dip, that depression, if you push through all that, which takes a lot, and I don't even know if I've ever done it before, to be honest, if you push through it, you get to the growth. And I think that is what all journeys have looked like in my life, and I'm going to predict that is what this one's gonna look like too. So yeah, this is my painting. I don't know if I'm gonna name it anything, but if you want to see that explanation typed up and the painting finished with its name, go check out my Instagram. All right, guys. That is all I have for you today. Subscribe. I'll see you tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. EST. Until then, paint something.